Carried.
Are you a public prayer?
Be happy to.
You know, Mayor Oberholzer always used to call on Chief Whitehead whenever we didn't have anybody. He was the stand-in. The pledge, anyone?
Pick one.
Go ahead. I got it.
Norman? Lead us in the pledge, no ceremonial. We've got the minutes for the April 8th and May 6th meeting. Public hearing item will be any public comments on the budget that's been proposed. Under new business, we have our first reading on the budget. We'll be waiving that and placing it on the June 10th agenda. We have the annual contract for the detention pond maintenance. You all saw that. Any questions on that? The next two items.
The amount was 15,600. Right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, making sure if I read that correctly. Yep.
The next two items, because this to me was very confusing. I thought we had a mistake on the agenda. So just for clarification, I'll explain what we're doing here. Todd and Matt and I met with Gwinnett County DOT over 2 meetings in January and followed up in March. And we talked about improving a couple of intersections, some with roundabouts, some with, we're looking at Grayson Parkway turning left onto 78, maybe dual left turn lanes. And so we talked about a lot of things in January. They came back with some follow-up information on a couple of those intersections. And the dual left turn lanes from Grayson Parkway to 78 turned out to be like $1 million with very little improvement in the intersection. So that one just wasn't a candidate to do anything. We had also talked about a roundabout at Ridgedale and Pinehurst because, and that's all county, but there's 2 corners of that that's undeveloped at this point, and right away would be easy to get. That would all be in the county. That one had my vote, but that was over $2 million as well. And then we had talked about a roundabout at Oak Road and Mountain View, because I've heard that over the years that there was one planned, and in January we found out that no, there wasn't really a project planned for over there. So, but they came back in the follow-up and they just did a concept plan, and a roundabout will work there. They've got enough space that they could get one in. And so then Lewis Cooksey, the DOT director, said that they still have some SPLOST money in the county's 2017 SPLOST fund that was allocated to a city project, which was 124 and Wisteria Drive intersection improvement. We were trying to get a red light there for a 3-way intersection there, and the state DOT would not allow it. So the county SPLOST fund still had that $1 million designated for that intersection. So since that's not happening, Lewis suggested we could move that money from that project and move it over to the Mountain View project, which would start paying for the design and construction drawings. Not construction, but it would get that project that farther along so that hopefully we could get that construction done at some point in the future. So we thought that was a good use of those funds. So what we're doing tonight, the first agenda item, C, is the first change order, which is the agreement with the county to allow them to move that SPLOST money from that Wisteria Drive project to the Mountain View project. Okay? No. It allows it to go from a city-run project, because Wisteria Drive was going to be a city-run project, to a county-run project. That's change order 1.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Change order 2 is us agreeing that the county is going to use that county money for the Mountain View project.
Okay.
Okay? So kind of a long way around getting to what we want to get to. But we did have a concept drawing, and Matt can get this out to everybody by email tomorrow, but we're going to put it up on the screen too while we're talking about this, so the public will know what we're talking about. Huh?
It's upside down.
I see it. Yeah, you didn't see it this way.
No, I didn't. Okay, got it.
Not this way so much.
It's still in the middle.
Yeah. Roundabout.
It's a roundabout in the middle of the page.
So that has been a very dangerous intersection.
It is.
And so I think this will be a really great, like I said, a resident that lives down off of Meadow had been asking about that, and he actually sent me an email like a day or two before we had this meeting, and I said, you'll have to email me back because I'll forget to email you, but I'll let you know what happens. And so I did let him know that, that it won't be quick, but at least it's getting worked on.
It'll be quicker.
It'll be quicker, for sure.
Big step.
Okay, so that is what we're doing on item C and then on item D. Okay? And then item E, we have 3 more police cruisers to surplus. Okay, any questions on the meeting?
When we get to the part on the budget to waive the first read,
Okay,
are you at
great,
least
thank
going to
you.
go, city manager going to go through the highlights of?
Yeah.
Did you?
What's
Yep.
the date we're waiving it to? June what?
June 10th.
10th?
Just, that gives people a little bit of a primer if they want to delve into it more.
Okay. Any correspondence? City attorney's report?
I'll just chime in because I get 20 emails on it a week. We've submitted our proposed orders to the court about 3 weeks ago and on the liquor store case. And as soon as the judge signs an order, we'll let everybody know. But that's where we're at right now. So we've done everything we can do at this point. So.
Under discussion items, the town green policy, we're not quite ready for this meeting. But we should be ready by the next meeting on that. Discussion of speeding and traffic concerns on Harbor Oaks Drive. Mr. Carter.
I was just speeding down here today. I got no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Hope I'm not going to be too parenthetical about this, but last year after we had so many concerns about the Harbor Oaks subdivision, this is before I was elected, I took a ride through the subdivision just to see what the problem was. I went in the afternoon, and later on, during the campaign, I've come through the evening and whatnot, and I heard all the outrage at the meetings and what people said they didn't want. But my perspective right now is safety of adults and especially children. We just had a child get hit over there. So I think it was a child, I'm not sure. But someone was hit by a car.
That was Mountain View and Dogwood on a bicycle.
Oh, okay.
As an adult, I believe.
In the vicinity. I just think that we need to put safety above the concerns I heard about speed bumps, about not putting in speed monitoring devices. I just think we need to move along with that. And one thing I noticed in the recent emails back and forth is that there seems to be a disconnect between what citizens are being told from the county and what we are what's coming to us. There seems to be a break there or some misunderstanding. One of my suggestions will be that we have a sit-down meeting, perhaps over in Harbor Oaks or here at City Hall, with residents from the area, residents from council people, and members of the Gwinnett Transit Authority. And that could include our commissioner, our council commissioner, but definitely someone from the Gwinnett Department of Transportation to be there so that we can all get the same information at the same time, and it won't be this who shot John type stuff that seems to be going on now, causing people to look at council in a bad light or to look at the county in a bad light. We'll all can be on the same page at the same time and carry on our discussion from there. One thing I will say is that after Tanglewood, we had questions and incidents about Tanglewood, and there were people who had different ideas in the community about different ideas. But once we went to the Tanglewood community with the contractor, with the mayor and members of council, and had a discussion about alternatives that we could put in the community, we sort of got the community all on one page. And I think that that's a good thing. And I do know that at that meeting, the next proposal, the very next proposal, was to complete the project in Tanglewood and then take what we have there in Tanglewood and present it to the people in Harbor Oaks and get their feedback on it. And I know we're well on the way on that, and I think that that's a great idea that needs to be repeated to the public in the community in Tanglewood, so that, number one, they can find out that we haven't, like, just cast their fate to the wind, that we are on it. The other part, I see that the police chief has had people over in Tanglewood writing tickets, and that's great. I'm sorry, Harbor Oaks, writing tickets, and I see the violations that are written. The only part about that is we've got Part 1 crimes going on here in Snellville. Part 1 crimes are felonies. As a police officer, I'm telling you, you have limited resources, and you can't devote a police car to Harbor Oaks. I know that people would like that, but you can't. And so, should they be subject of frequent patrols? Absolutely. But just as every community in Snellville should have frequent patrols from their police officers as much as possible. But, I commend Chief Perry for actually putting eyes on and putting people there and getting some things done for the community. But the real deal is that we can't dedicate a police officer every day to be there writing tickets. Number one, because that's a waste of resources. And number two, when the police car is there, or people spot a police car, the word goes out, and guess what? People slow down. So I think that we need to put in passive alternatives, traffic calming devices, or speed bumps. A lot of people get up about speed bumps. Well, I just drove through, I used to drive through more frequently. We had the detour for the roundabout, but for the first time in months, I drove through
3 bars.
3 bars.
Terrible.
And if you're driving, it never was a shortcut for people who have been going through. That was just the illusion of a shortcut. But now, if you go there and you're driving over 10 miles an hour, you're tearing up your car. You're tearing it up. And I don't see where, when we begin to put the false rumor about, oh, it's going to tear down house, it's going to tear up house, it's going to lower our house values, which isn't really a false rumor, or beyond or above the safety of the public, I think we have our values skewered. And I think that everything needs to be on the table. We can have conversations about it. That's why I want to have the Gwinnett Department of Transportation. One of us will have to contact, I'll take that on if you want, to contact to set up a meeting and try to get members of the community involved and come to a resolution that's satisfactory for everybody. It may not be speed bumps. It could be something else. But it can't be a police car sitting there during rush hour or during lunch hour or during the early morning hours. There has to be a passive way to get this done.
Let me just throw on with what you're saying is with the program that we're doing on Tanglewood, the traffic calming circles. You know, number one, we picked Tanglewood first because there was no other opportunity for Tanglewood. Because of the grade of the hill, speed humps weren't an option. We also can't put a police officer out there because of the grade of the hill. They can't run radar out there. So there were a whole host of things that kind of identified Tanglewood to go first. Well, the plan is that we're putting those in, we're going to see if it helps to mitigate the speeding on Tanglewood. If it's successful, if it's not successful and people are still speeding or tearing up, you know, the new traffic lanes, then obviously we're not going to do any more. If it does help, then the plan was to identify the other cut-through streets in the city, because there are quite a few. There's Ashworth
Valley.
Lake, or Green Valley, Ashworth Lake.
is already speed humped,
Is it?
yes.
And then,
So it'd be Green Valley that we're really concerned about in my neighborhood.
and then there's Harbor Oaks. I'm not thinking of them, but there's a couple other neighborhood streets that are cut-through streets. And I think, so we would look at those to see where the issues are. You know, look at speeds, look at volume of cars and things like that to determine where we go next. And then it would go through the same process like we did in Tanglewood. Notification out to all of the homeowners, let them know what we're doing, a neighborhood meeting so we could explain it all and make sure that they were all on board, because this is purely coming out of the City of Snellville funds. This is not being matched anywhere else, and if we're going to spend the money, we need to spend it in places where people want it. And so, you know, that's kind of the process we've got in place for what we're doing on Tanglewood. And then I thought there was something else I was going to say, and it's escaped me, so I'll stop there until I think about it.
Any input from Chief, since he's got anything to add, Chief?
Well, I think the Tanglewood project will work. I know that the flashing sign, the speed sign that's up in Tanglewood that we erected, I think that has an impact also. When people are coming down the hill, they see it start to flash. I think those kind of instruments could be used in Harbor Oaks. I mean, I do think it does work. It's not perfect. I mean, some people will break the law just because that's what they like to do. But I agree with the aspect that we can't be out there all the time, unfortunately, even though we would like to catch everyone. But certainly we'll continue to be out there as long as we can to impact the problem now.
Because I had a conversation with another resident on Adela Court with the same problem. He said, I think they come off of Springdale and just shoot off from there.
Bypasses over to further up Skyland.
So, I mean, it's not an isolated problem. Unfortunately, we have, you know, people that just want to speed.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just super easy to speed. Sometimes when you have those gentle hills and you're not on your brake.
Not speaking from experience. Right?
Not at all, not at all. I don't have any
Well, should I
personal
wait to
experience with
contact
this.
DLT or?
Yeah, I mean, I think there wouldn't be an issue with going ahead and having a meeting so that we could kind of gauge where the community would like to go. But if it came down, you know, if there's community support for speed humps, which it doesn't sound like there are, you know, that's a program that doesn't pertain to the city. They can go through that process with the county and start getting that done. You know, they could have that done in a couple months probably. If it comes down to we'd like to do the ease-abouts, then, you know, that will fall into line with the, you know, the process that we've got going for that.
And that's why I wanted the county to be there too, just to eliminate
Well, that's what.
And then they'll discuss the options.
Exactly, because what always happens is somebody will say, well, why can't we do speed humps? I heard this. And we had, when we met with Tanglewood, we had somebody from the county speed hump program so that they could explain, you know, what the truth was. You know, I don't know what that person said, if it was truth or not, but there is a lot of misconception or misunderstandings on how things work and, you know, what you have to do. And, so, you know, it's all of that. I think it's helpful to have anybody in the room that the questions might come up. That way we can just answer them right then.
Would it be appropriate to invite a few other neighborhoods that do have those cut-through issues? Namely, Green Valley is what I'm thinking. Because we will probably be talking about traffic calming with them. I don't want Green Valley to just get overlooked. Because that is a serious cut-through.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got the same
Right,
issues, so there's no point in not inviting everybody that has that same issue. Sure. Sure, I think that could work.
Okay. I'll take care.
Anybody have anything else?
Get a date.
All
Got
right.
a speed running.
Update on projects.
Just referring to our city projects update, we'll start with the first project, Town Center. So the market building shell is complete. If you haven't had a chance to go over there and get close to it, it looks impressive. It adds a lot to the feel of the Grove. You know, next step is working on a prospective tenant to sign that draft lease, and I've been told by Kirk Dimitrops with Mid-City that they're hoping to sign it next week. And then we can start on some of the interior construction and that sort of thing, make an official announcement, all that good stuff that comes with that. The other restaurant build-outs on Oak has been progressing, going well. You see them getting drywall up now. They got framing up, getting drywall up, so they're moving. We've heard some complaints from citizens about kind of some safety concerns on the parking deck as you come onto the main level, where you have a lot of folks coming and going, walking into the Grove from where they parked and things. So we're working on adding some striping, some pedestrian striping, some stop bars, and some mirrors, so folks can when you make those turns, can see oncoming cars kind of coming and sharing that lane. We had a meeting with the contractor that we're going to work with on it last week, but they ordered the wrong type of mirror. So please order the mirrors that we need, and then let's get it done. So hopefully the next 2 weeks you'll see those mirrors up. And what they'll kind of be is they'll be like what they call a 360 mirror. Right, so it's like a half dome that you kind of hang, and you can see it from all directions, you know, all the oncoming traffic and people walking and things, and hopefully that will slow people down.
Make it safer.
Yeah,
Well,
make it safer to see
safer.
what's coming around the
Yeah, what's coming
corner.
around the corner. I mean, I would hope in a confined space you wouldn't need that, but you do. You know, it is a problem down there. So, working on that. So as far as the sidewalk project goes, there's just a few little items remaining on Skyland. You know, really kind of punch list items that they're working to get done there. But Pinehurst is moving along well. We you know are continuing to address issues with getting AT&T off the poles. They finally ordered the material. Finally ordered the materials that they need to do the pole changeover, which is, the project in their eyes is more than just a simple pole changeover. There's some fiber and some other things. And Larry and I are meeting with Backbone tomorrow on how we can best adjust in their while we wait for them.
Friday.
Yeah, we're meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, we are meeting tomorrow.
They told me Friday, so watch
Okay.
out.
Okay, yeah, we'll clear that up. And what we'll propose to them is essentially do all the work that you can do in between the poles, and then you'll leave, you know, a 5 to 10 foot, you know, distance from each pole. So when AT&T moves poles, and they can rip them out, and they can pour the remaining portion of sidewalk, the remaining 15 to 20 feet of sidewalk. So we'll be able to remove traffic barrels and things like that, so they're not, you know, I just don't have a lot of hope that AT&T is going to get it done in the timeline in which they have proposed, that they will get it done, because it's been an 8-month process to get them this far.
They
But
didn't give you a window between 1 and 5?
they gave me
Yeah,
a
1 and 5
window,
months.
they gave me a window, and it is
Yeah.
not a window that we're happy with, but it is a
Give
window that we have to
me
live
the contractor
with.
or the head guy's name, I'll just send an email like I did to Comcast.
You
It's
can-
like,
you can-
we're gonna cut the poles down on this date, so
That
be
is
prepared to
email.
explain to your
That is email.
customers why they have no service.
Yeah, that ought to do it.
No, it is not easy group to work with. Moving on to city business cleanup, the recycling center, still going gangbusters, folks are bringing their stuff there. You know, we've had some pushback on, obviously what we expected on kind of our new policy and some of these commercial businesses, you know, what we perceived as taking advantage of the recycling center, of, you know, when you've dumped from the 5th time from your basement full of truckloads, and we begin to think it's not, you know, you're not just collecting stuff out of your basement.
Yeah,
you
come
know,
over to my house.
And that sort of thing. But all in all, folks have been responsive to that, and the recycling team has been very appreciative of kind of the teeth that we gave them to say, look, we're just not accepting that anymore. You're going to have to go down to the landfill.
I
you know,
haven't
to
had
dump
any
that sort of
pushback on
stuff.
that.
Okay, good. And no one's really heard, you haven't gotten calls, well, hey, that's,
They're all coming to you?
It's all you, Matt.
we prefer that. We prefer folks to come talk to us about it so that we can explain to them. You know, a few bad actors have, unfortunately, we've had to change the policy because of that. And then just, you know, the proposed budget that we're going to talk about tonight does include that one code enforcement position, you know, there to, and that's moving well. You can see that the truck is out there that we purchased for that employee to use while on the job, and will be outfitted, and we'll have that person probably hired hopefully in July, which is
Awesome.
which is good. And we'll continue to address all those items out there. Nothing to really report on, you know, zoning things. I mean, the comprehensive plan's been adopted, things are moving fine there. Chuck gave an update on package sales, there's nothing else to report on that. Briscoe Park, I want to spend a few minutes on that if I think we have time.
Absolutely.
So I gave you all a copy, let me just pull mine up here. So this is in response to our special call meeting that we had with Amy Bell of GMC as a kind of a value engineering session with them to get us into really a price range that we're comfortable with as far as the budget goes and what we think we can do. So let me kind of show you, let me refer you first to the schematic floor plan here. So this is, if you recall, really our exactly what we asked them to do, which was essentially move these activity rooms and the aerobic dance room from kind of the side of the building, I would call it I guess it would be the south side of the building, you know, adjacent to the basketball courts, and moving them here to take up this community room kind of space there. And then you've obviously got a little bit of a change downstairs there on, you know, you would lose some of the concession area, some things like that. But this floor plan, as you see now, is about 36,000 square feet. So knocked off about, you know, 10,000 square feet or so. So a good chunk there. As far as the staff section goes, nothing really changed there. The staff kind of felt like this was the most functional use for them. Lisa felt like this was a good, you know, allowed outdoor entry for them, a break room, you know, a separate bathroom if they need it, and then the reception area right there with the rest of the staff. So if someone comes in and has a question that, that person at reception says, let me go talk to so-and-so real quick, they can just duck back to that office and come right back with the answer.
We had a concern about visibility out onto particularly the track.
Yes.
Having the check-in person over there.
Yes, and that could be an option if that is something that the council would really want. I think from a functional standpoint, from staff, they felt like it was better to be able to have access to offices for the reception folks and directors there. Visibility is there kind of tough.
Yeah, well, the other issue that you have is if your receptionist is out for any reason, and somebody from the office.
Somebody has to go over there and man it.
Right, somebody's got to sit there and do that versus being in their office and just running out when somebody walks up.
Yeah, well, I think keeping track of our users and public safety is more important than that, but that's just my opinion.
Is cameras an option?
Yeah, I think you could have cameras.
That seems to be would be a cheap fix.
Yeah, but it's not the same as, you were a teenager.
Yeah.
Your eyes on, there's a window there, somebody looking out at you, as opposed to, oh, there's a camera over there.
Is there visibility from the reception desk to the entry
Yes.
door in that layout? Okay.
That really is kind of a gatekeeping mechanism.
Yeah.
Just as folks are coming
Somebody
in and out.
needs to see that door, see who's coming in and out.
Yes, you come in and out. I think at this point, what we need to, we could have GMC go back and we could change some minor things here, but as far as cost savings go, you're really not going to net any.
No,
any
it's not a
difference
cost
at this
issue, it's a functionality.
Yeah.
And so I think as long as we're okay with this layout, with looking at their kind of pricing sheet that they've provided, is $385 a square foot for the building and for the site work, which would be the accompanying parking and lighting for the parking and that sort of thing. All that number is built into that $385. That we'd be looking at an all-in number of 18.3. That includes a contingency, that includes an escalation factor as projects, as you're going through the building of the building, prices go up and just standard kind of things. Sometimes those prices do change on January 1, sometimes they have different things, and you try to kind of anticipate that as best as you can. So where we're sitting as far as our money goes is we've got nestled away about 13 million. That's between 2017 SPLOST, our American Rescue Plan, American Recovery Plan Act funds, ARPA funds, and then 2023 SPLOST. So we'd be about $5 million. We're about $5 million off. So there, kind of a few options I think that we could explore as far as bridging that gap. We've already expressed our interest to our U.S. House rep, U.S. Congress rep for some money there. I don't really know timeline on that. I don't really know, with the presidential election coming up and things, I don't know if funding our project is in their priority list or helping with that. But we've got CDBG option, which we've used before for different projects at the park. You'll recall lake wall projects, trail, the trail project to get us from kind of the town center area down to making that connection to the park was a CDBG project. The challenge with CDBG is we need millions, and they typically don't get millions. I mean, they get millions, but that millions is spread between several different projects. And in talking with the county, I think what they've got last year was like $7 million. $7 million, which would be spread out between several different projects. So, we would ask for our $5 million, but I would not be hopeful that we would get that, just simply because there's other mouths to feed, so to speak. There's other folks in need of those funds for their projects as well. So and Mercy and I have a meeting next week with them that will kind of go over the application and make sure we understand exactly what they need from us. But I do think it's it's worth pursuing, the CDBG route, but I think it would need to be CDBG coupled with, that low-interest GMA loan that we talked about, at that, kind of a combo of the two to kind of bridge that gap. So, if we're able to get, 2 million, and then we're in a low-interest loan for 3 million, over 20 years, the impact on the budget would be so dramatic. I mean, we would need to run those numbers to kind of see, but it's an option.
What's our latest SPOS income looking like per month?
So right now, we're averaging about in between 385 and 4.
Okay.
So pretty healthy, pretty healthy. So what would that give you, to do the math, make the math easier on me? If we said 400,000 times 12, what is that, 48, so 4.8 million?
Yeah.
2 million.
Annual.
Well, 1 point.
But,
Yeah.
200.
but a project doesn't get
Right.
all done at once.
Snapped up at once, yeah. So
Right.
there would have to be, some accounting, which is pretty standard with SPLOST, because you got these
Yeah.
projects, you don't get that money right out in the onset. You accumulate it over the 6-year period, and most folks do not wait till they have all the money in hand to be able to start their projects. Residents, citizens that vote for it expect that stuff to be ongoing while they're collecting it, so you do kind of do what accounting term, do to, do from, and you kind of have these accounts set up where you're reimbursing different accounts to make sure that, you can move through the projects. But I guess really kind of what I'm gauging from you all now, is there any part of this that gives you guys pause that we would need to meet with GMC on again?
I thought the last meeting was very clear.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at these numbers, when you look at the 2023 column for the recreation building, the top line, we were at 13.2. And we cut out a good bit of square footage from the building from our conversation, and with the price increase, we're at 14 million.
Yeah. You gotta get moving or it's gonna go up more.
Yeah, and I think that's really I guess that's the cautionary tale I would give you. You get intimidated by these numbers, true enough, and that's a lot of money. It's a very important project, and continuing to wait things out till you collect more, or whatever. We just don't see that happen. We just don't see the numbers doing that. I mean, it's just the pattern is here. 225 4 years ago, last year 290. The time to act is now, really, and we can. My recommendation would be go ahead and let's let GMC start on the next phase, which is the design development phase, where they are bringing in the technical folks, the engineers, those kind of folks that are doing the construction drawings and plans. And if we wanted to tell them, hey, just don't put it out for bid for a few months, let's collect a few more SPLOST dollars, that's not going to really impact anything.
Right.
But if we were going to go that route and shelve it for 3 years, well, we might as well not do anything.
Not do anything.
Right, but if we want to say, let's give us 3 to 6 months just to collect a little more SPLOST dollars, get a little more.
And see if we can put our hands on some other grant money.
Some other
or
grant money,
something.
or even just know, when are we going to get CDBG money, if we get it? When would we get a GMA loan, when we, some of that timeline of stuff to kind of work out. And talking with Amy about that approach, she said, yeah, you wouldn't be losing a lot on, 3 to 6 months. You'd be losing a lot on 3 years, as far as just
1 to 2 years.
Yeah, even 1 to 2 years of just doing nothing, and having a full set of drawings, and then just, sitting on them waiting. So, from what I'm hearing, this is a good schematic floor plan. It's fine to move them forward. The budget numbers aren't giving anyone serious pause at this point. Things that we can't work through, at least, and we can release GMC to continue to. And I in my experience, architects, I'm sure that they've already tinkering with even this, because that's what they
Yeah.
do. they'll continue to tinker. And so it may even look a little different than this, when it's all said and done. Okay.
It's not so orange.
Yeah, really.
Okay, well, I thank you for the feedback, and thank you again for being willing to have that call meeting. I know those sometimes get you off your schedule and things, so we appreciate y'all making time for that. And then we got the contract signed for the demo of those old park maintenance buildings.
Oh, good.
We are meeting with them next week just to make sure we're all on the same page with exactly the scope of work. And Larry Kaiser is going to be the one to make sure they're capping lines properly and grading properly. And so we just, usually they're called pre-cons, but this is not a construction project.
Yeah.
So it's a pre-demo, and we're just making sure we're, and then I'm hoping within a couple weeks from that, they're starting and they're demoing and getting it done, and we're kind of leaving it, graded properly, seed and straw, and then, a year and a half later, when that project is in earnest, that section will, I'm sure, be wrapped up into parking in the new rec center, so it won't be just sitting there and, for years, looking like a, kind of a blank slate there, so.
Blank slate's good. Be
Blank
extra
slate's
little.
better than solid.
Sure.
And then you all got the email for the park maintenance building ribbon cutting
Yes.
on
June
June
6th.
4th, 6th at 4.
And just there again, on behalf of the staff, we do appreciate your support on that project. They're very grateful. They'd be grateful to have anything, compared to what we're about to knock down. Really, it didn't take a lot to please them. I mean, it was pretty bad over there. And it's well lit, and, it smells okay, and there's no mold and other things in there.
It was horrible when Public Works moved out of there over a decade.
There was a
There's a
reason
reason why
why
they moved.
Public Works
Yeah.
moved,
Yeah.
yes.
And so, thank you again for supporting that project, and they're very happy. And I think you'll be impressed with it, all that they're doing over there. The capabilities it allows them to have, all their, there's a pretty good sized porch on the backside of it that they can put there. And that was when we thought we had those senior vans for a lot longer than we did. But nevertheless, they have plenty of
that
equipment they
area's
can
still
put under
good,
there.
yeah.
But thank you again. And camp is starting next week, and Lisa said that we've got about 25 kids signed up for that first week of camp. That will be hosted in the old library there, so it's coming along. We have the carpet cleaned and things there. I told Lisa, let's go ahead and do that, at least while we're kind of having these discussions, with what we were talking about financial-wise there, and talking with the inspector. We'll get them out soon and get them, get that full rundown there, but things are looking fine there. North in Wisteria, we've had a couple good meetings with some folks. Chuck's helping me on a few of these a little trickier issues that we have that kind of come up. One thing I will, where we've had some delays. Really, delays never really sound good, and a lot of times not, but this actually is one that we're glad it came out now. We did not realize. But when you, on the United Bank, Community Bank property there, so as you're driving north on North, I guess you can drive south on North now too. Mm-hmm. That green space right there where their sign is actually their septic drain field. We had no idea that there was a septic tank right there. And I'm so glad that this wonderful bank manager said, I hope it didn't mess you up. I said, no, you saved us. I would much rather know this now and experience the delay that we are trying to, do all the testing and figuring out what the option is than us excavating this thing and realizing, So
created a bigger problem.
Exactly. So what we're trying to figure out now, we're working with a firm that Larry knows to decide if we can do kind of a hybrid approach that we could essentially fit a tank there with what we're taking as well. And if we can, that's what we're going to propose to the bank we do as part of our right-of-way stuff. The only option is to connect them to sewer. And that's a huge expense. That's going to be a big expense, to connect them to that. We'd have to run under Wisteria and kind of do that. So, I guess it's one of those blessings in disguise in that we weren't excavating and then causing ourselves a real serious problem, but it has caused, some delays on us trying to figure out how we best handle that before we go up to bid on that. Traffic calming, we talked about that, so the projects are underway. We did, unfortunately, back when it hit a gas main, I sent an email out to folks about that. It was not marked, that's the sort of stuff, and it was very shallow. If they're hitting a gas main excavating a road, that is extreme. We're just excavating, really the asphalt, the topping. We're not even really digging anywhere, so, it's there and it's been repaired and things, but, that's the kind of the first hiccup we've had. But other than that, it's gone pretty smoothly so far. Just a few other things with the stormwater rate study. Jason and I did receive an email today of kind of a model. We're digesting that model on the rate schedule, and we'll get with everybody to kind of discuss what they're proposing. But we literally just got it today, so we're kind of digesting that, and we'll talk about it with you all on best path forward for that. What you will see there is exactly what we're experiencing. Prices for RCP and labor and everything else have just skyrocketed. I mean, a lot of it is pandemic related, I'm sure. A lot of it is just market prices going up, but no one in the construction business, and we have a few contacts that is seeing those numbers change. They leveled off, and they leveled off higher, than what they were 2 or 3 years ago.
Once we kind of
challenge.
Get through all of that initial report that they sent, we might wind up just setting up a work session, special called work session, to be able to really work through it and digest it all, because it's kind of complicated stuff.
I talked for a long time. That's all I have. I'm done.
All right. So I think that is it for the work session. And no exec session tonight. So entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor? Okay, we'll see y'all in here. 10 minutes.